Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is the story of Sonic, a blue hedgehog who's just fresh off of defeating his arch nemesis, Dr. Robotnik, who's played by Jim Carrey. Sonic's parents are leaving town for a Hawaii wedding when two unexpected visitors arrive. Turns out it's Dr. Robotnik, who's back in the flesh, and a new rival named Knuckles, who's voiced by Idris Elba. Knuckles and Dr. Robotnik are after an artifact that will give them unlimited power. So basically, Sonic has to reach this artifact before they do. And we have our movie. I'm not gonna lie, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 felt really cliche and underwhelming in way too many areas. The film just spends a lot of its plot in the least interesting of areas. It also features a really likable antagonist that is not nearly front and center enough. And to top it off, it's got lines of dialogue that just made my eyes roll into the back of my head. Having said that, Jim Carrey does bring his own DNA to the role, which is great and really charming, and there's fun to be had in this movie. And although these moments are not the most interesting parts of the film, they're entertaining nonetheless. Let me start off with this. Sonic 2's biggest pitfall is that it spends way too much of its time spent on the least interesting parts and least important parts of its plot. The film jumps back and forth between several geographical areas where characters reside. And in many of these scenes, the film fails to sufficiently answer the question, why are we here? And whenever I asked myself that question, I found that the scene just made no narrative progress to the plot itself, which just made for a ton of filler that would have otherwise just sidelined characters altogether. And to make it worse, the scenes tend to be the lengthiest and are the least important. And as a double-edged sword, I think that the movie was way too long and it didn't use its time wisely. With plenty of scenes making for natural filler, it just made the runtime longer and bloated. I thought the additions were widely unnecessary and that the film could have been cut down to an hour and 30 minutes. And I think that would have been much more appropriate for the story because it's not sufficiently deep. At the plot's core, it's just a story of two groups who are trying to get to something first, which just could have been told in a much tighter, much more interesting time box. And within the film's bloated time box, it fails to dig deeper into these characters and the most interesting parts and conflicts between them. The history between Knuckles, Sonic, and their home is touched upon at various points, but it's just touched upon. The film doesn't go any deeper than that. And those moments could have made for great character exploration, but the film just kind of runs away from it, which I just thought was really disappointing because Sonic and Knuckles, there's a lot to love between the two of them. And sadly, the film doesn't transcend itself or the history between the two past anything interesting. It just feels like unfulfilled potential in that regard. And I will say, despite its flaws, there are moments of humor and fun to be had. Sonic, Knuckles, Tails, and Dr. Robotnik are all vigorous characters who keep their energy throughout the entire movie. They all seem to be having fun no matter which scene they're in, which can be contagious. Whether it's a narrow escape, a dance battle, or a plan to sabotage one another, you can't help but be tuned in. And to top that off, they provide subtle moments of humor that will at minimum have you chuckle. More of these moments can be found within the side plots and the side characters of this film, and while these moments of fun are an excellent refresher to the film, they fail to contribute meaningfully to the overall story. And finally, Jim Carrey is another highlight of this film with his performance of Dr. Robotnik. Dr. Robotnik is about as Jim Carrey as it gets, providing a sense of exaggeration and fun that only this comedic legend can provide. He truly brings his DNA to this role, which lands really well within the context of the movie. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but is yet sinister enough, and if this is in fact Jim Carrey's final performance, this is one that he should be proud of. Friends, in the end, I'm gonna have to give Sonic a 5 out of 10. I thought it was mediocre, but overall, it's worth watching. I think kids will have a great time at this movie, but parents, if you're taking your kids, you might not enjoy it as much. Friends, have you seen Sonic the Hedgehog 2? If so, what'd you think of it? You know where the comment section is. Let me know. Thanks so much for watching another Bankrupt Hippo movie review. If you like this, click right here if you'd like to see more. I've been Bryson. Until next time, have a great day.